Say, aren't you? It's selfish, but aren't you glad you're not there?
Hey.
All right, good morning, everybody. This is Mindful Movement with Chris, and I just want to start this day off with a little remembrance. We lost a shining star in the fitness world this last week. We lost Richard Simmons. Richard Simmons was one of the first people that just devoted his life to getting people healthy and really working with an overweight population as well as the whole population. I got the opportunity to work for him in the early 80s, and I taught aerobics classes at the Richard Simmons Anatomy Asylums, and he would come visit us about every 3 months. And I want to say he was as sincere as you saw him. He put his heart and soul into everything he did. And I just want to take this time to remember him and say thank you, Richard, for starting me in my fitness career. All right, so he wouldn't want us to be laying around, so let's get going. What we're going to do today is focus on our hips. And what you'll probably want is a yoga block, okay? If you don't have a yoga block, get a pillow off your couch, something like that. A yoga block is preferred, but you don't need it. Let's get going. So we're going to do, like I said, the focus is the hips. So what we're going to do is we're going to lean back slightly and we're going to place our feet a little farther apart than hip width apart. And we're going to do a slow motion windshield wiper. Now, a windshield wiper normally looks like this. We're just kind of wiggling back and forth. But we're doing this with mindful movement. So we're going to take it apart. So what I want you to do is I want you to take your right knee and I want you to drop it towards your left knee. Just really slow. Just drop it in. This is internal rotation of that hip. Good job. So you're going to see how far that hip can go. Now I want you to take your left knee and I want you to drop it in towards your right knee. This left knee's a little more stubborn. This left hip of mine doesn't want to go as far. So then you're going to get a gauge. Does one side go farther than the other? So we're going nice and slow. And do it again. Left knee. All right. So now we know which side might be working better. Both might be even on you, and that's wonderful. What I want you to do now is take your left leg and drop it open. Now I want you to take that right knee just like you did before, and I want you to drop it towards the floor. Drop it towards the floor. Go ahead and take it towards the floor. Your hip will come up off the floor a little bit and drop it down. Okay, we're going to focus on that right knee and we're going to bring it back up. We're keeping the left knee on the floor or towards the floor. Now open this right knee up as far as you can. And once you get it as far as you can, then that left knee gets to come up off the floor and we keep rotating the right knee towards the floor. And this is where we take the left knee over and drop it down towards the floor. Remember, we're doing this very intentionally. We're putting our mind in our muscles. So open up this left knee, get it open as far as you can. Let the right knee start popping up off the floor. Let the left knee go to the floor. Bring the right knee down towards the floor again. Nice. And open the legs up so the left leg stays on the floor. Take the right knee as far away from the left as you can. Once you get there, the left knee rises up off the floor. The right knee continues to go towards the floor. And now you drop the left knee down towards the right knee. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so let's get a little more movement in these legs. And we're going to work a little bit on hip flexion. I'm going to turn sideways here so you can see what I'm doing. If you have the opportunity to back up to a wall so your back can be nice and straight against a wall, then do so. We're going to work the quads a little bit, but we're also going to engage these hip flexors that get a little lazy when we sit all day at a desk. So bring your right knee in close to your chest, really close. Straighten your spine as tall as you can get it. Flex your left foot so the top of your foot is coming back toward your shin. Always just let your toes go along for the ride. You don't need the toes to do the work when you flex your foot. And now we're going to lift our heel up off the floor. So lift, 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 lift. And it won't be it's probably not going to be a huge lift. And you might notice one side lifts higher than the other. That's why we call this mindful movement. We're learning where our body wants to move. Now let's switch sides. So if you got a little cramping or you got a little work going on in here, this is going to feel great. Hug that knee up towards your chest and extend the right leg. So once again, sit up tall, get that spine tall. If you're against a wall and your rear end is right up to the wall, that's your hardest position. If you can't lift your leg in that position, then scoot your rear a little bit away from the wall and lift from there. All right, so flex your foot, spine is tall, and we're going to lift the heel up off the floor. Lift and lift and lift. We're doing this 6 times, 2 more. Lift and lift. All right, let's do that one more time each side so you get the hang of it. The goal for this class is for you to learn moves that your body really loves, really needs, and it makes it feel good. And you can pick those moves and you can incorporate them in your own daily routine. So go ahead and flex your foot and lift and lift and lift and lift. 3 more. Yes. Get that heel up off the ground, but keep your back nice and tall. All right. Give that leg a bend. Extend the other leg. 1 more set on this side. So if this move feels really good for you, it's a great quad strengthener without damaging your knees or putting any stress at all on your knees, because you're keeping your knee straight and you're not overusing that knee joint. So you're actually strengthening the muscles right here above the knee, and it will really, really help if you have bad knees. All right, now let's do this. Let's go ahead and sit with our knees along the long edge of our mat if you're on a mat. And we want to line up our knees. We want them right here. So here I've got my left leg in front, my right leg in back. That's reference so as I give you cues, all right? So I encourage you to do it that way. We're going to take our left hand and place it behind us like a kickstand. And I want you to come up really tall in your spine. I want you to push your hand down to the floor. And as you do, I want you to lift your ear away from your shoulder. We want to keep a big space here while we do this. So push your hand down into the floor. Keep your ear away from your shoulder. You're going to push up to your knees. So rise up to your knees. Nice. You still want to keep that nice space here. You want to push down with your hand and you want to push your hips forward. You want to squeeze this backside and open up the right side of the hip, or the front side of the right hip. All right. From here, we want to extend our arm up in the air. Reach your arms as far apart from each other as you can now. Get your nice big wingspan. And then let's just rainbow that arm. Drop it over and back and over and back. And if you want to follow your hand with your head, that's a great opportunity to move your neck. So over and back and over and back. So we're waking up the shoulders, the hips, the neck, all while we're working our hips. So we're going to stay in this position. Be very mindful of what I'm going to say next. Focus on your rib cage, the bottom of your rib cage right here. We're going to rotate our right side of our rib cage towards the inside of our left knee. So your head is just going to go along for the ride. So give me a rotation. Rotate, 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 and go as far as you can. Once you're at that limit, I want you to put your hands on the floor, and I want you to walk your hands out. Walk out, walk out, walk out, walk out, and then drop your elbows to the floor. So here we are, and now we have an opportunity once again of focusing, of taking that right side of the rib cage towards our left knee. From here, we're going to work the hips again. So we're going to create a little internal rotation in that right hip by lifting our foot off the floor. Keep the knee down, lift the right foot off the floor, and lower. Lift and lower, lift and lower. Hold your rib cage, hold your abdominals in while you lift and lower, lift and lower, lift and lower. All right, that was internal rotation of that right hip. We got to keep the hips rotating. Now we're going to externally rotate that right hip by lifting our knee up off the floor. So foot stays down and you lift your knee. Lift and lower. All the while you're holding that rib cage in place. You're breathing nicely. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Good job. So let's just walk our elbows back up off the mat. Walk our hands back. Come back to the center. Let's switch sides. So now my right leg is in front. My left leg is bent behind me. I've got my right hand behind me, and we're going to push up on our knees. So come on up, keep that nice open space between your shoulder and your head, and rise up and reach your arms as far apart from each other as you can, pushing one hand down to the floor and reaching the other hand to the sky. And let's rainbow that arm over and back. And if you want to follow your hand with your head, do so. Over and back. Over and back. Now, when you're in this position, I want you to feel squeezing on that left glute so you can push that right hip open even farther. Open up those hip flexors by contracting